He just published a piece on what he says is the Washington Post hypocrisy about Saudi Arabia. He joins us tonight. So, Glenn, before I ask you about the piece that you wrote, unravel this for me. And I just want to be totally clear. I've never been on the side of Saudi Arabia. I hate how they're controlling our foreign policy, particularly in Syria. But why the outrage about this now? I'm a little confused by it.
The Saudis have been murdering journalists, murdering dissidents for decades. They've been doing it at a heightened rate for the last 2 years. As you just said, the Obama administration was arming the Saudis in order to create the worst humanitarian crisis in Yemen by slaughtering civilians by the thousands, imposing famine conditions on millions. The Trump administration has done the same. The reason people in Washington suddenly decided that they're angry about Saudi Arabia is because this time their victim is somebody who they ran into in Washington restaurants and who is popular in Washington social circles. That's the reality. They didn't care at all when the victims of Saudi Arabia, by the hundreds of thousands, were people that they didn't like or didn't care. It's just this time they killed one of their friends.
How deep would you say, give us a quick overview of how deep the ties between the Saudi royal family and official Washington go, including in the journalistic establishment in Washington?
It's impossible to overstate. When the Crown Prince came here, he had the red carpet rolled out for him by Hollywood. He met with Oprah. By Silicon Valley, he met with Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. In Washington, he met with the leaders of all the parties. Saudi Arabia has been a critical financial partner and military partner for the U.S. For a long time. The interests go so deep in Wall Street and the defense industry. And then as it turns out, even the Washington Post, as they were going around demanding that everybody sever all ties with Saudi Arabia because it's immoral now that they've killed one of their journalists, had on their staff 2 writers who both work at lobbying firms that had extremely lucrative contracts with the Saudi government. So the Washington Post was paying people, unbeknownst to their readers, to publish articles at the same time that they were getting paid by the Saudis to do messaging and other lobbying work for that same regime.
Can you very quickly tell us who they are so those of us who read the Post can know that as we assess their writing?
Yeah, I mean, the 2 of them are Carter Eskew, who was the top-level Gore advisor back in 2000, who formed the Glover Park Group, which is mostly Democratic elites. And the other one is Ed Rogers, a longtime Republican operative, who is a founding partner in Haley Barbour's firm, the former head of the RNC, who was in charge of communications for the Saudis in Washington. And they were both Washington Post writers for a long time now, unbeknownst to readers, and they were only told that they had to get rid of their Saudi contracts once we published our article by the Washington Post. But so many major media outlets, including all the cable news networks, have regular commentators who work for consultant and lobbying firms who are paid to disseminate messaging unbeknownst to the people who are hearing them. And it should be a huge journalism scandal.
The totally fearless Glenn Greenwald. Thank you, as always.
Thanks, Tucker.
With the midterm election.